Now, to be clear, Joe doesn't actually stand for anything, never has, including socialism, because he's never stood for anything. I mean, go back and look at all his flip-flopping over the years. It becomes painfully clear that senile Joe just does whatever is politically expedient. He goes for the low-hanging fruit and twists to the political winds every single time. And he does it faster, depending on how much money is involved. But the idea of identity politics, or more accurately, multiculturalism, has been the focus of appeasing, enticing, and even bribing various special interest groups to back the Democrats here at home, and the progressives all over Europe and elsewhere too. For some reason, the left wing of those political movements had the idea that if they created enough special interest groups of various sizes and then declared them all victims, they could tell them, hey, they, the Democrats, would be there to save them from the mean Republicans and conservatives and offer them lots of free stuff, too. This has led infamously to the invasion of Europe and now the United States by literally tens of millions of illegal aliens and migrants from all kinds of nations that have almost, well, nothing in common, certainly with European cultures and increasingly the culture of the United States. But if you get caught trying to point out the magnitude of the failures and the threat these mass migrations pose to the very host countries that are allowing it to happen, you're instantly smeared as a racist, you're a bigot, an Islamophobe, and 1,000 other things they'll call you. Of course, none of that is true. In Poland, conversely, over the weekend, hundreds of thousands of Poles turned out to celebrate their nation and their heritage. Poland, among the very small group of nations that have flat out rejected the EU's demand that they open their borders too to be flooded with people who don't give a damn about Polish heritage or sovereignty. Other nations have not been so stringent. In fact, several countries are now facing a real identity crisis of their own. We know, of course, because in England, France, Germany, and several other countries, the Palestinian flag has been raised on national memorials and statues in recent days and weeks, defiling the history and the memory of those nations while making unprecedented demands as if these immigrants are owed something by the host nations. Tens of thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters have flooded the streets and clashed with police in violent altercations. And again, if you speak out, if you say this is wrong, you put yourself in the crosshairs. And in England, you can even get fired, lose your job for telling the truth. Like this.
Inadequate integration and a misguided dogma of multiculturalism have proven a toxic combination for Europe over the last few decades. I'm not the first to point this out. In 2010, Angela Merkel gave a speech in which she acknowledged that multiculturalism had utterly failed. And then French President Nicolas Sarkozy and British Prime Minister David Cameron echoed similar sentiments shortly thereafter. Multiculturalism makes no demands of the incomer to integrate. It has failed because it allowed people to come to our society and live parallel lives in it. They could be in the society, but not of the society. And in extreme cases, they could pursue lives aimed at undermining the stability and threatening the security of our society. We are living with the consequence of that failure today. You can see it play out in the streets all over Europe, from Malmo to Paris, Brussels to Leicester. It is 13 years since Merkel gave her speech, and I'm not sure that very much has changed since.
Nothing has changed since, not for the better. That was the UK's now former Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, bravely telling the truth. She was fired for telling the truth about multiculturalism that doesn't work and actually tears down nations rather than making them stronger, like so many on the left would have you believe. But multiculturalism and identity politics is Europe's new religion. It's replaced Christianity. And if they continue the way they're going, Islam will soon replace multiculturalism in Europe. And something tells me when that happens, they won't be open to other ideas and certainly no other religions.